And we are live.
Stafford down the middle is intercepted. DJ Moore overthrows and intercepted for DJ Moore. Will I see you back? Throws and is intercepted by DJ Moore. Pushing up the hill, searching for the thrill of it. Takes the snap from his own end zone, lines up, throws, in a traffic, it is deflected, picked up by DJ Moore. On the 10, 9, end zone, touchdown, touchdown Bears. DJ Moore, pick six.
You are tuned in to the Chris and DJ Show with former Chicago Bears nickelback DJ Moore.
What's going on, everybody? Good evening, and we are now less than 24 hours away from kickoff. Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers at Soldier Field, kicking off the NFL's 100th season. I'm Chris Schanfeld. He's former Chicago Bear himself, DJ Moore. And DJ, we finally got through training camp. We finally got through preseason. Now the games matter. Now every snap matters. Now we'll finally get to see some starters or all of the starters and some hopefully not so sloppy football.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess you can do the hashtag football matters. That'll make me kind of throw up at this point. Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. You haven't, for the Chicago fans, like you and myself, we haven't got to see the Trubisky machine or whatever. Does he have a nickname yet?
Louis Riddick of ESPN calls him Maserati Mitch.
Yeah, I don't like that. Oh, yeah, I guess he could. I guess it's a fancy way of dissing somebody saying, "Oh, you driving a nice car, just don't mess it up." Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's just like calling him Alex Smith. Well, okay.
I'll say this. Louis Riddick's been really high on the Chicago Bears. He's been really high on Trubisky, and from his past predictions, that's a pretty good sign.
Well, he make a lot of predictions. He make predictions every day. Let's come on now. Let's come on with it. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited because you haven't seen him. You know what I mean? You haven't seen him play. I mean, literally all preseason. You get to see him throw a couple passes that, you know what I mean, at camp. But it's not really like explosive plays like you really want to see. So I think the jury's still out, and you know what I mean. So it's I don't know. I'm just excited to see it. Like you said, you get to see the full game in motion tomorrow. So I know it'll be a different storyline next week. That's for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. Just like last season, Bears and Packers kicked their season off against each other last year, and Bears got off to a hot start. Unfortunately, they couldn't finish the game. A hobbled Aaron Rodgers was able to lead the comeback and disappoint many Bears fans all across the city of Chicago with a 21-20 victory. Hopefully, we're talking about another storyline tomorrow night. Looking at the Green Bay Packers, DJ, I mean, they've kind of gone through this preseason very similarly to the Chicago Bears and what they did, and that's holding some of their starters back, mainly Aaron Rodgers, who, while Mitch Trubisky didn't throw a pass in the preseason, he got a few handoffs off. Aaron Rodgers didn't even get in the huddle, didn't even see the field at all. Does that really matter when talking about a proven quarterback with the stature like an Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, I don't think it matters, but with the caveat, if they do struggle, then it will matter to the people on the outside. And then that is going to turn into questions for your locker room for everybody to answer. And that's going to be a problem. And then I could see Aaron Rodgers and either or the head coach kind of being frustrated by the situation because they're going it's not going to be on Rodgers. Like, people absolutely love him. Oh, you're the talented, you this, you that. So if something goes wrong, it's because the young coach who came from a Tennessee team that wasn't all that good. And and got a job that he may have didn't deserve, or was he not ready for, or did he get it because he knows Sean McVay, or he was with that whole that whole train of thought. I think the biggest thing that I'm ready to see, because I think they have Jimmy Graham, right?
Yeah.
This is first year there,
Second?
second year. Um, when I was playing, and back when they were really, really good, they had, I think it was Jermichael Finley. They always had a really good tight end that they can do a lot of different stuff with. Um, so will they, and NFL is always about creating, creating mismatches. So will they be able to use him in a way and get him back to, I guess, the Jimmy Graham that the Saints had? It is amazing that, every year I see him, you just think like, man, where is the Saints Jimmy Graham? But I think when he has a really good tight end, he normally, does a little bit better. But it'll be interesting. They didn't make the playoffs last year. Now, again, like you said, last year the Bears lost and then they went 12-4. So if you can do that again, eh. But it'll be interesting to see. Because I think every time Aaron Rodgers throws an incomplete pass or changes a play, they're gonna put the camera on the head coach and see if he's upset about it. That's gonna be a story. So if the Bears win, that'll be a story, Mr. Trubisky, or the defense did something, and it'll be a blow up about the situation may not be working out, and somebody from your camp leaked something. I don't know how it all works. Your camp always leaks something. Like, no, it was me. I didn't like it.
Of course, tomorrow night, Bears Packers. They kick off the NFL's 100th season. It's the Bears' 100th season as well. Yesterday, the Chicago Bears unveiled a couple of new statues in front of Soldier Field. DJ, not sure if you've seen or heard about this, but you got a
Check it
Walter
out.
Payton statue right outside Gate O, I believe, at Soldier Field. And right next to the new Walter Payton statue, you got George Halas. For those watching, you see a couple of pictures of the statues on the screen here. Long time coming for both. I mean, of course, George Halas, the founder of the Chicago Bears, you would think that this would have been there years and years ago. And then, of course, Walter Payton, when you think about the Chicago Bears, first thing that comes into mind is probably the '85 Bears and the legendary defense. And then who was a part of the team on the offensive side of the football that really made things go, and that was, of course, Walter Payton. They both get their due. They get their statues outside of Soldier Field. And again, that just kind of kicked off the festivities in celebration of the NFL 100th season, the Chicago Bears 100th season, and really looking back to the history of this Bears-Packers rivalry, DJ. I mean, it's the longest running rivalry in probably all of sports. Bears actually trail the Packers in the all-time record. 97, 95, and 6 is the all-time record. Again, the Packers lead that series by 2 games. We'll see if the Bears can at least tie it this season by sweeping the Packers. And, of course, that all starts tomorrow night at Soldier Field. Let's talk about some keys to the game, DJ. We got to figure out what the Chicago Bears need to do in order to walk away from tomorrow night's game with a victory. And, we all know that the defense will have their hands tied with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and like you said, one of their tight ends, whether it be Jimmy Graham or, of course, they acquired Mercedes Lewis, the former Jaguars tight end, in the offseason as well. So they've got some bodies, they've got some pieces. You wonder which running back they're going to go with tomorrow. They got a couple guys in the backfield. But the defense, no doubt, is the strength of this Bears team, whether you lose Vic Fangio or not. And, of course, Chuck Pagano now comes in as new defensive coordinator. You can't think he's going to change up too many things. As they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that defense will still be the mainstay of the Chicago Bears team this season. But there's no doubt about it. Mitch Trubisky, Matt Nagy, and this offense certainly need to pick things up because the talent is certainly there. No more excuses for Mitch Trubisky. And I'm sure you feel the exact same, especially when looking at the pieces that he has surrounding around him. You look at the three-headed monster in the backfield. You look at the receivers. Obviously, tight end is a big question. It'll be a main topic in tonight's show, DJ. But no doubt the defense will probably do its job, and that's hard to say when you're playing a player like Aaron Rodgers, one of the all-time greats at quarterback. You never know what to expect when playing him, even if his team doesn't have the expectation maybe from the outside world that many people may not expect them to do too much. But again, the defense will show up, no doubt about it. It'll be a big surprise if they don't, but bigger concern is the offense side of the football and what they need to do this season. Any specific things you're going to be watching out for this tomorrow night?
Or they letting him be, grown up. You know what I mean? Like, I got kids, and you know what I mean. When they go to the playground, I want to make sure they don't fall over, and so I give them really, like, hey, you know what? Don't climb backwards up the slide. You got to go up the steps. Like, I want to see him go backwards up the slide. I want to see him slide face down on the slide. I want you to open up the whole park tour. You know what I mean? Like, he's. I think it's just time for him to like take the helm and like you want to see him go from game manager to game winner. I think other young quarterbacks in the league, from Dak Prescott, you will see him go like, okay, he manages the game, and then you'll see him, now he's winning games. Or all these young quarterbacks getting paid. Like, if he want to get paid, all he got to do is throw some good passes, and that's it. He is going to be living in the dough. Now, last year, he went 23 for 35 the first game, 171, no touchdowns. The second game, it was much different, 20 for 28, 235, and 2 touchdowns. Now, the first game, they lost at 24-23, and the second one, they won at 24-17. So, it seems like whoever gets to 24 first will probably win the game. And that's because the defense, if they play they did last year, 24 points might take it. If you can get to 28 with this defense, it should be a no-brainer. Now, I know Green Bay was really bad I think they struggled on defense last year. And Howard, I think both games really kind of, I think, with that ground and pound, it kind of, kept us with the possession and kept, the time possession down for them. That's another big thing. Like, who's going to have the Howard role? You know what I mean? So is it Tariq Cohen? He's small. You know what I mean? He's powerful when he runs. But, I mean, that's a 6'1", 225-pound running back that, yeah. And, I mean, can move a little bit. I mean, in the first game, I think he averaged, 5 yards a carry? And that is, I mean, that's something. So it is going to be interesting. The defense playing like they did last year, hopefully it happens again now. But last year it was more of a surprise thing, too, with Khalil Mack. It was like last minute. Did Green Bay have enough time to prepare for him? Because he went nuts. I mean, right out the box. It was like, man, fresh out the box.
Can you prepare for a Khalil Mack type player, though?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you can. I mean, you can chip block. You can, do a little bit of hurry up offense because he's a high energy guy. So it's a lot of different things that you can do. Now he get the free reign of moving around what he wants to move around to. But whenever you see him, you just got to have somebody else quick enough, to block him. Now, with a healthy Aaron Rodgers now, he is elusive now. Let's not joke around now. But this still will be, be very interesting. Off season, studying this defense all off season, new coach, but you know what I mean? But you know what? I think we'll win it. I think we'll win it, and it'll be a big blow up on the other sideline. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting talks.
Yeah, there's been a lot of already controversy, a little bit of drama over there in Green Bay surrounding, of course, Aaron Rodgers and their new head coach Matt LaFleur. It doesn't sound like they've gotten off to the right page, DJ? I mean, it sounds like that there might be a little friction already. Maybe Aaron Rodgers isn't totally bought into the playbook, but there is going to be some freedom for Aaron Rodgers. At least it's been reported that he's going to be able to, he's going to be able to audible pretty much any play he sees. And of course, with Mike McCarthy in the past, that wasn't always the case.
Well, this is the thing, okay? You don't like when you audible and stuff, you know what I mean? Like you normally either you probably got two plays, or you may be checking it. Oh, there's a safety down. Let's run to the bubble, like run to the open gap. Like you can't simply just do too much because, as you know, receivers and keeper don't want to learn all that. You know what I mean? Like it's just not. And like what they practice is the game plan you put in. Now he might try to check, but he just, you know what I mean? Because when they report it, make it seem like, you know what? When you call a play, I'm gonna change the formation. I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna change like, and I don't think it's like that. It's just you just trying to get us in a better play, but it's probably something we going left, we need to go right, or we running right. We can probably do a pop pass or like the, you know what I mean, like the little zone read, the what do they call it? The player, the run pass option, all that type of stuff like that. So I think a lot, especially in the NFL, it's always somebody reporting something. Now it may not be what the real deal is, but as long as people reporting on it, and that's what we hear, that's how we see it, and that's how they're gonna get asked the question. So it's at some point this year, it's gonna be a problem. Even if they win, it's gonna be a problem. If he make a look to the sideline weird about a play, it's gonna be a problem. And especially if they lose the first one, he gonna have to come out and say, "Man, just calm down" or something. He gotta do the little calm down speech because it's gonna happen.
RELAX.
Yeah, relax, kid.
All right, so the Bears finished 12-4 last year. We know how the season ended. The Packers 6-9-1. Of course, they go on, change head coaches. Now enter Matt LaFleur. It's a new page, new chapter for the Green Bay Packers. DJ, it seems like the popular thing this offseason has been to, I don't know if denigrate's the right word, but a lot of people are expecting the Bears to have a fallback season, a drop back season. They expect them to drop off. Maybe go now repeating 12-4 again. Maybe not, but with that, a lot of people are also expecting the Green Bay Packers to not only improve from what they did last year, but win the division. And now that's when the conversation kind of takes a turn for me, because just looking at this Packers team as a whole, I mean, from offense to defense, even looking at special teams, now they're having issues with the kicker position. Sound familiar? It just doesn't look like a team that would challenge not only the Chicago Bears, but the Minnesota Vikings, and you can maybe even make an argument that the Detroit Lions have a better roster than the Green Bay Packers. Is there any chance the Green Bay Packers could win this division, in your opinion? Because me personally, I don't see any way possible.
Well, I think it's a toss-up. I think you split with the Bears last year. Minnesota, for the last since I think Zimmer has been there, has been, you know what I mean, like been owning them.
Top two in
I
the
think,
NFC North.
yeah. So they are, if they can get over the Minnesota hump, probably. I think it's a possibility with when you have a healthy, Aaron Rodgers. That's the thing. It ain't about the defense or special teams. I got who everybody considers the best quarterback in the league, and even with that being said, I'm assuming they won 6, but they probably should have won like 3 or something. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting. Now the Bears do have a tougher schedule. It's not like the Jets, the Bills, the Lions in like a 3-game stretch. It's like the Broncos, the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Cowboys. So every week, potentially anyway, because you know how the season shape out, but potentially every week you're going to play against somebody that's probably fighting for a spot, you know what I mean, in the playoffs in their division or in the wild card. So it's going to be Like once you go 12-4 the next year, they gonna amp your rock. I mean your schedule up a little bit. So the schedule is much tougher. And I don't know if you got the graphic up or not. If you got the games from last year, I know we lost to the Dolphins. Let me think. The Giants, the Packers, and who else was it? It was somebody else. I can't think of the last one. So we swept Lions, swept Minnesota. To me, I think we'll maybe split Minnesota. I would say split Green Bay, probably sweep, the Lions. And then I think it'll come down to like, you mean the overall record to kind of see how that works. So it'll be interesting. I wouldn't expect Green Bay to miss the playoffs again. But I mean, you're a quarterback, best in the league, and you miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. Like, meh. But then again, Minnesota defense was terrible last year. So that's the thing about to me. I mean, I think didn't I pick Minnesota to win it, right? The division, right?
I thought you picked Detroit.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Do that. Come on, man. Because their defense is just last year was just no. I just don't think that's who they were. And whenever their defense is playing really good, I mean, I think it's really tough to beat them. So yeah, I guess Green Bay could. Nah, I got Minnesota. I'm
Yeah,
sticking.
I don't. I mean, I could see Minnesota winning the division. Uh, Certainly, much more than I could see the Green Bay Packers winning the division. And again, we'll see what kind of step they take on the defense side of the football. I mean, they keep Mike Pettin, a known defensive coordinator, been there for a couple of years, and they certainly spent a lot of money on the defense side of the football this offseason. They acquired Adrian Amos, former Bears safety. They acquired Zadarius Smith, pass rusher from the Baltimore Ravens, Preston Smith from the Washington Redskins, and of course they had 2 first-round draft picks: Rashawn Gary, defensive end out of Michigan, and then they went back and drafted Darnell Savage, safety out of Maryland, freak athlete. Not really high on Rashawn Gary. We'll see. And so far, reports are that he hasn't really impressed. But again, we'll see come tomorrow night and the remainder of his rookie season. I would be a bit concerned about their safety duo, and I'll be flat out honest with you, DJ. It's not so much Adrian Amos, but I think Darnell Savage has the potential to be a possible superstar in this league, along with a cornerback. Maybe you're familiar with him, Jair Alexander, entering his second year out of Louisville. Those are 2 young guys that could really carve out quite a career if things go their way there in Green Bay.
Well, with Savage, I'm not really sure exactly who he is. I mean, he plays more savage-ish. You know what I mean? Like really aggressive. I mean, so if you're a hitting safety in a league that don't want you to hit a lot, well, you gonna have to cover people or get interceptions. So when Green Bay was really good on defense, Charles Woodson played safety, would come down and play nickel and do a lot of different stuff, and make plays. I think when he won Defensive Player of the Year, things like that. So can Savage be that guy? He's athletic enough. But it'll still be interesting. Now the Bears offense, will it be basic enough? Who knows? Is it just Tariq going off on a wheel route and that's it? So it's still a lot to be determined.
You mentioned the running back. How will that be? How will the ball be distributed tomorrow night and the remainder of the season? You said it. They might miss Jordan Howard when it comes to getting those tough yardage between the tackles. I will say one guy that's gone under the radar, Mike Davis, the back that they signed from Seattle, 5'9", 220 pounds, but I think he's kind of, a lot of people are really hyping up David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen, rightfully so. They're both gonna have a huge role in this offense, but I think Mike Davis could be that Jordan Howard type running back that, a lot of people were saying, oh, Jordan Howard didn't fit the Matt Nagy offense. I think Mike Davis will have quite a big role on this offense. especially when they need the tough yardage. I really think it's going to be a three-headed monster this season. And I think when you look at the bulk of the carries, who's going to get the most touches, at least out of the backfield? Probably the rookie David Montgomery. But when you need those 2-3 yards on third down, I think certainly Mike Davis will be the guy. And then Tariq Cohen, I mean, he's kind of that Swiss Army knife where, a lot of people expected last year maybe Matt Nagy will use him like Tariq Hill in Kansas City. Well, that's just not Tariq Cohen's position, but maybe at times we will see him more in the slot, especially when you now have David Montgomery and Mike Davis in the backfield. Tariq Cohen's just too good of a player to leave off the field. You're going to want to get him in there in any way possible. So, again, I think we will see a three-headed monster this year out of the backfield. And I think Mike Davis is a guy that a lot of people are sleeping on that maybe you shouldn't be.
My thing is, only thing, and I like the three-headed monster thing. It sounds like it'll have a cool name to it, but
Run DMC.
what the hard thing is that there's not enough balls to go around. You know what I mean? Like I have the receivers. I mean, I just so you got normally you have like a first and second down back. You have a third down back. Third down has to be Tariq Cohen. To me, I would have him in all the time because of like who he is and what he can do. But they don't see it that way. So, hey, that's my opinion. Take it, leave it. Montgomery is more in the same ilk as a Tariq Cohen. Now he's a little, to me, less explosive, less excitement, but he can catch out of the backfield, but he can run. He's also the same size as, Mike Davis. He's just probably, I think he's a little taller, maybe weigh like a couple pounds. I mean, he's a big guy running. Now, he isn't like a physical runner like Mike Davis. Mike Davis is just like when I get the ball, like somebody's about to get it. So it's just going to be interesting because when you have the same tool, you know what I mean? Like if I'm working on something at the house, if I got the same tool, I just grab the closest one. You know what I mean? So I just like, which one are you going to use more? Is it going to be like, oh, you played good this game, so I'm going to leave you out there? Or you were playing good this game, kind of like the New England style? To me, I feel like Tariq Cohen has more than earned the right to be just out there. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting. Now, it may cause them like to compete, you know what I mean, and raise both of their levels up. But they've been, I mean, and again, these are just reports too. Just like they've been gushing about Montgomery. You know what I mean? Like to a point that it's like it would make me upset as a runner. You know what I mean? Like I'd be happy for you, but I'm like, have you seen me? Like I return kick. Like I do everything. Like you haven't noticed that? You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I think Tariq Cohen, like, literally is one of the best players in the league. You know what I mean? But
Would you experiment with
he has to
Cohen?
find a way to use him, man.
Would you throw Cohen in the slot, or is the wide receiver depth
Well,
chart
the
too
thing
stacked
is,
for that?
you don't have to put him in the slot. You don't have to make him a receiver. You just when he's in, you can just move him around. You can put him in the slot, but have him at the running back position and motion him in the slot. So they have to adjust to it. So a linebacker is guarding me instead of what? Instead of a cornerback or a safety or somebody who has a little more foot speed or quickness to keep up with me. If you were watching the New England game, now they're going to always give Tom Brady the MVP, but really it's like James White and Woodhead and people coming out the backfield making people, making people miss. Running little bitty short routes and running down the field. Now, they're going to talk about Tom Brady like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, which he's a good player, but it's like, that was James White's MVP. He's the one that kept coming out the backfield, shaking the linebacker. You know what I mean? Like what they do is they create a mismatch. And what Nagy has to do when you have, a player like that, you have to create mismatches. I remember playing against, actually the Lions, I forgot the guy's name from the line. He's a return kicks. But then Minnesota had Percy Harvin. Like he was a receiver, but like he was a full-fledged running back. So when he was in the game, like sometimes you had to play like actual linebacker where they would line him up back there behind a fullback and let him run it down the middle You know what I mean? I remember like having to line up over him and like track the fullback, and I mean somebody else hit the fullback, and I had to tackle him. So it's just like you don't know what to do because in that situation you would probably want a linebacker in, but if they put a linebacker in, all they would do have to motion him out, and now there's a linebacker on Percy Harvin, which was gonna be not good.
DJ, talking about some of the past, you bring up, this Percy Harvin or Detroit Lions. Maybe was it Stefan, short guy? What was
He was
it?
like 11.
Yeah,
He ran back kicks, but they would put him in at running back
right.
sometimes. It was just you just had to be ready for it. Yeah.
He's playing in the CFL now. His name escapes me. I know his first name's Stefan. I don't know why I remember that, but anyways,
Well, we remember. We remember.
going back to your playing days, DJ. I mean, this is again the most storied rivalry in the NFL. Bears Packers. 100th season kicks off tomorrow. You've been a part of this rivalry. You've played in this game. Unfortunately, you weren't on the winning end of it very many times.
I think once.
Once, wow.
Yeah.
Uh,
Once. Like
but you
81 maybe or something. It was awful.
but you know what it's like to play in this game. You know what it's like to prepare for this game. The fan bases absolutely hate each other. Now I'm sure that on the sidelines it's a bit different. Playing against these guys is a bit different. You might have friends on the team. But just talk about what it's like preparing for the Green Bay Packers. How different is it, if at all, to any other game? Because for both fan bases, it's huge. It's right beneath a playoff game or the Super Bowl for the fan bases. Again, I'm sure it's not exactly that big or that to that extent for the players. But do you guys feel it? Do you guys?
From a personal point of view, I would say to me it was like a Super Bowl type thing. And it's not because it was just Green Bay. It was more so for me, like I get to play against the best quarterback in the league. Like, and if you can make him look foolish or pick his pass off, like that carries some weight. You know what I mean? Like playing against twice a year, you like, oh, here you go again. Like I was excited about that. It's like playing against Jordan. Like, hey, I want to play against Jordan. I want to go out on one on one, but it's football. We can't do that. Um, you know what I mean? Just being able to just play against a guy and prepare for him and knowing he know what play you gonna run every time. We were just running cover two the whole time. Like, you know what I mean? Like you know what we doing. And it was always, I mean, you just had to go out there and, make plays. I remember being, and it was funny. So I'm lining up, and he looks at me. I mean, I see him look at me, and he can tell we're in, and he wink at me like this before he snapped the ball, and he threw it to the other side. Because you just know, I mean, I know what you're in, but also I know that you play a little bit better cover two than the other guy on the other side does. You know what I mean? So it was always. Man, just a chess match and doing the same thing over and over again, going from Green Bay to Chicago. It was always a tough game. It seemed like every time they would come out and score real fast, and then we would kind of slow it down. Now, offense, I think, especially years out, our offense never really got off the ground ever. Now, they did have a better defense, assured you back then, but I don't know. It was always close. We just always was on the wrong end of well, except the one year. But then again, at the end of that year, then we was on the wrong end of it. So, it was always on the wrong end of the stick. But I did get the second one time, which was cool. But I think they called like a holding or something. It was weird. I think they took it away from him. But I still keep that one in my back pocket.
One game that is still always brought back is the 2010 NFC Championship game. Of course, the Packers scored 14 points very early on in that game, and then the defense shut them down the rest of the game. We all know what happened to the offense side of the football. We've seen a few quarterbacks that game, starting out with Cutler. We've seen a little bit of Todd Collins, and then ending the game with Caleb Haney. Again, I mean, we remember the B.J. Raji interception, and again, Packers went on to win the Super Bowl that year. I'm just curious, again, besides last season, that was the last time the Bears were even in the playoffs, was back in that 2010 season, DJ. And that was a team that was carried by the defensive side of the football, no doubt about it. It had guys like yourself. It had some legends like Brian Urlacher, Julius Peppers, Charles Tillman. How do you think that Bears, or this year's Bears team, the defense side of the football, how does this year's defense compare to that 2010 defense?
It's pretty good. I mean, you had, I think, with Peppers, and you got Mack, and we had some other D linemen. We had some, I mean, so I think it's pretty even. You know what I mean? Like, you had playmakers on the outside, you had playmakers at safety, you had guys. I think Chris Harris that year, maybe, I think he was all pro at safety, and he was the smartest cat ever. Like, and he was slow, but he knew where to be, when to be. So him and Eddie Jackson, yeah, comparable. Who else was it? Danielle Manning.
Yeah, that's right, Danielle Manning. Yeah,
Was the fastest cat ever. So him and Aha maybe like, make a good play, make a bad play. You know what? I think I can see that one. I ain't got a good nickel like me, of course, but we'll leave that for. But no, seriously though, like Buster Shrine, who's a veteran that knows what he's doing. I'm assuming he's going to be the guy. With it Duke Shelley.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll be Buster Screen.
Oh yeah, once they sign you, sign you. So I mean, you have them at every level. And like you said, it's really rich, in defense. Now the difference I think for us making it to the NFC Championship game was, I mean, it really wasn't a defense. Like we always played good. Like the offense came on and Greg Olsen came on. You know what I mean? Like Cutler actually came on at the NFC Championship game. That's another story. But it was like we'd be talking about it. It's Trubisky. That's who was up to. Like the defense is gonna do what the defense does. I'm gonna limit you to these amount of points, but I need you to get these amount of points. So for us, we had, Greg Olsen. So right now, you said Trey Burton is hurt, and Mercedes Lewis he got an old Mercedes. It's the old kind. So his Mercedes, I mean, so he been in the league. I don't know. He been in the league for a long time.
He's on Green Bay.
Oh, okay, now, okay. I misspoke.
Yeah, Bears got Trey Burton, then they're still banking on Adam Shaheen entering his third year, former second-round pick.
Yeah, that could be it. Or they can figure out a way to use Tariq Cohen in a unique way. But, the defense, I think the defense is really good. Really comparable to our defense, comparable probably to the 85 Bear defense, probably really, really dominant. But it was a different time. But having people on every level that can make plays, I mean, they have it, man. Two good corners, safeties that can make plays, D lineman, linebacker, young, got Urlacher type numbers. His rookie year, and he still missed a couple games. Came out in the preseason, I think the first play he got a sack or something like that, right? So it's going to be interesting to see though. But the defense, I think defense will do that job. I still think they'll regress a little bit because they was insane last year.
Again, Week 1 kicks off tomorrow night, DJ. Chicago Bears hosting the Green Bay Packers. The 100th year of not only the Chicago Bears, but the NFL as a whole. Is this the biggest game of the schedule? Can this one game, the opening game of the season, kind of determine both of these teams?
I would say yes and no, just because yes to me from the Green Bay side, because it can cause the team to spiral a little bit, because if they lose, then there'll be a lot of talk about they don't get along. He changing too many plays. I'm not in control. Blah blah blah. It's gonna force your GM to have to pick between the player and the coach, and I'm assuming we know how that would go. Now the other side, we lost last year, but the schedule is different. So you got Green Bay, then you have the Broncos. To me, both of those are toss up. The Broncos with a good D line, they got D linemen. So and they got good DBs. So I think that'll be a tough game. Redskins, I would say that's a win. You got the Vikings division. I think it's a toss-up. You know what I mean? You got the Raiders. I would say that's a win. Khalil Mack against the Raiders again. I couldn't see that being a loss. But then you got the Saints, the Chargers, the Eagles. The Lions is a division game. I'll still give you the win on that. The Giants and
Now,
Cowboys.
now that Raiders game is in London, and DJ, you had the rare experience of playing a game in London against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers years ago. Did that affect you at all? Did the the time change and the travel, all that? How did that affect you, if at all, in preparation for the game?
Well, normally you go up. We didn't go a week. I think we went like 3 days early. So, I mean, you got time to adjust to it. I'm assuming they'll probably go down there a week early, go out, get in touch with the Londoners. You know what I mean? Have a good time, and I think they'll be fine. Now, the thing that was different, it was the playing field was kind of, I forgot where it was. I think it was the Wembley
Yeah.
Stadium, but I don't know if they brought in the grass or whatever it was. It was slick. It was real. I don't know. It was kind of, I call it soccer slick. So that was kind of a little bit different. I mean, the game itself was cool. I think somebody even ran on the field and everything. It was like the whole like experience or whatever. And they were cheering for just everything, like because everybody was like had on different jerseys. You would see just everybody jersey, and they were just cheering. Just anytime something happened, like who are they cheering for? It's just cheering and they taking pictures and it was a unique, you know what I mean, a unique thing. But at the end of the day, it's just a game. You just playing it somewhere else. You don't get your home crowd, but really, if you make a play, yeah, yell and scream for you. So, um, that whole John Gruden thing is I don't know, it is confusing at times. The whole David Carr, do they like him? Do they not? I think he's awesome, but that's a whole issue. That's a whole another thing too. You know what I mean, by the time we play them, it'll be what is that the fifth game. By then, if they were like 1-4 or something, there could be a lot of drama for them, and it could be a, you know what I mean, like I ain't gonna say a cakewalk because of the NFL, but really one of those games where you just like, you know what, we gonna win this one. So you get to see Antonio Brown against our DB, so it'll be a lot, or not, or how,
Antonio Brown might forget his helmet back in Oakland for that game. I'm not too sure.
Nah, I'm gonna tell you something about Antonio Brown, man. And I don't know him personally, but the cat works really hard, man. Like he really does. Now I think I ain't gonna say he's got a bad rap because I think he probably brought it on himself, but when you're good, you're good. Like there's no substitute for that. Like the cat can play. So when you can play like that, you can put up with a lot of extra curriculars.
We've seen it here in Chicago with quite a few different guys. So no question about that. Couple more things to focus on about this game, then we'll move on and look around the NFL. DJ, you mentioned it. Trey Burton, he's a little banged up. He's got another groin injury. Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace met the media earlier in the week and said that he sustained it last week, calling him a game time decision. He was actually limited in practice today. I think this could be pretty big for the Bears in both ways. If he plays or if he doesn't, we've seen how that affected them last year in the playoffs against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now they didn't really have too much time to prepare. That came like a day before the game last year. So at least this time around, they're going into the game knowing that this is a legit possibility that he might not suit up. But I feel like Matt Nagy's offense needs a playmaker at the tight end position to really be at full strength. Yeah, you got plenty of weapons in the backfield. You got plenty of weapons at wide receiver. I'm not saying the offense is going to fall off the face of the earth without Trey Burton, but I feel like I feel like if he doesn't suit up, you'll certainly know. It goes both ways. If he suits up, I think he'll have a big impact on this game, especially with the lack of depth and the struggles that the Green Bay Packers have in their linebacking core. And then if he does not play, you're banking on Adam Shaheen to go out and be productive and actually stay healthy for an entire game. And you're also banking on Ben Broniker, who's more of a depth guy, more of a special teams player. I think Trey Burton, again, I think his name holds a lot of weight in this offense and in the offensive game plan. Could he be the deciding factor in this game? Could it come down to Trey Burton?
It could. And when you have some kids, man, you'll get this. When you leave the house, they always have like either a blanket or a toy. It's just like for a security purpose. You always got to have something. And for a quarterback, it's a tight end, man. And no matter what offense, even with like in what you want to compare it to, you want to compare it to Kansas City. Like, what does that tight end do? Travis Kelce. He does a lot. He's out wide, he's inside, he's blocking. And that's what you want to see because whenever there's a problem, he is open, wide open. Now, Andy Reid, I think, does it a little bit differently than Nagy does, but that's what you want. I mean, that's what we got you from. We got you from that tree. Like, we want to see this stuff. So that's why we always compare Tariq Cohen to Hill or this person to this person because we just want to see how you gonna, fulfill your promise of being this offensive guru. Like you went from 0 to 100, went from not really coaching to being the head coach of a team that's been around for 100 years. Like that's nuts. Now you did win last year. You're gonna give you credit for that. You throwing bombs at camp. We're gonna give you credit for that. But what we can't give you credit for is you being an offensive guru yet, because everybody else has already given it to you when you haven't shown us that you can turn this guy into something else. We seen McVay turn Goff into a superhero to get $100 million guaranteed, because before him they were like he should go home and poop on himself on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, and don't even clean it up because you shitty. You know what I mean? Like it's I put that together. But you just wanna just see it, man. And I gotta see it. And tomorrow I haven't watched enough game to really get the gist of like what his offense really should look like. So tomorrow or whenever we talk again, guess what? I had that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And with that,
but hopefully he can be that guy to like open it up. Because even like I think when these new innovative offense came, even when I remember when Chip Kelly was with the Eagles, I think he had Trey Burton, right?
He did. As
it was always like a tight end like outlet for some reason. You just look up and like who's open? There's a random tight end sitting somewhere. You know what I mean? Like having that security, spot that where I can throw the ball to you, or you always a mismatch. You are either too big, or too strong, or too something for somebody. And that tight end position is key. So unless somebody else, like you said, steps up and comes out of nowhere, or they, the sky's a scheme where it's differently though. But it's all about mismatches and trying to create some of those things, man, out in the field.
Before we move on, DJ, we got to get a prediction for tomorrow night's game. Again, the oldest rivalry in the NFL. Packers at the Bears, Soldier Field. I'll go first. I think the Bears run away in this one. I'm going to go I'll go 30-13. I really think that they're gonna hold it down from start to finish. You're going to see flashes from both the offense and the defense. And again, I think post game, you're already going to have questions about this, or more questions about this relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. We're gonna question how long it's going to last, and you're going to get a salty Aaron Rodgers afterwards. But no, I really do think again. I think this is a great opportunity for the Chicago Bears to open up the season. I think it's going to be a great chance for them to get started on the right foot, as they maybe should have last year. I'm sure that game last year still leaves a bad taste in their mouth. And then, of course, you go back to how the season ended against the Eagles. I'm sure they're eager to get out there and to have this game at home against the rival Green Bay Packers to kick off the season. All eyes are going to be on them tomorrow night, primetime TV. I think the Bears are going to, and I try to take my Bears goggles off, DJ, But I think they're going to answer all the questions, and I think this rivalry, it's finally going to start turning the other direction. And of course, that started last year, late in the season, when the Bears defeated the Packers at Soldier Field. I think this is going to start going in the other direction, and hopefully the Bears start taking control of this rivalry, because it's been in Green Bay's corner for far too long.
Yeah. I do think the Bears are going to win, and I don't think all the questions are answered. I think we'll still have questions about Trubisky, but I think it's going to be overshadowed by the whole. Like, I just got a good feeling that there's going to be something about Green Bay and their coach. It's been so much, and even though I don't think it's a big deal right now, like to them, it's going to become something, and it's going to manifest over the game. Now, if it goes like I don't think that nobody goes over 24 points again. I just don't. I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think Green Bay has went heavy on defense, heavy. Hey, we can't just do this again. Like you got a corner, got a safety. I'm sure people they signing off seem like they're trying to make sure the defense is shored up a little bit. If our offense look anything like it did in the preseason, it's going to be a defensive game. So to me, whoever gets 24, I think we get 24 first, but then there's still a lot of questions to me, more questions on the Green Bay side. For Trubisky, it's going to be he has an excuse. You know what I mean? He has the excuse that I'm rusty, didn't play in the preseason. I'm gonna get my sea legs. Now, Aaron Rodgers, he didn't want to play. He chose not to play. Like, you older, like you don't get your sea legs, or the coach don't get his sea legs. So there's gonna be a problem. So I think the Bears win. I'm gonna go. They won the second with 24-17. I'm gonna go 24-21.
Okay. I will settle for that final score. I'll settle for a closer game, no doubt about it. So I'm going 30-13. You're going 24-21.
You're a homer, man. 30-13.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see the next time we chat.
It may work. It may work.
Again, I think a lot of people are much higher on the Green Bay Packers than maybe they should be. But again, time will tell. We're less than 24 hours away from kickoff, DJ. Cannot wait. It's certainly the best time of the year, in my opinion. And before we wrap up tonight's show, DJ, we'll try ending every show now with we're going to talk about 3 topics around the NFL. And we'll start off with, about 10 days ago, a bombshell in the NFL, a bombshell in Indianapolis. Andrew Luck hangs up the cleats. The news broke, actually, during the Chicago Bears and Indianapolis Colts preseason Week 3 game. He wanted to hold off and break the news and hold a press conference the following day. Adam Schefter of ESPN had other plans and broke it right during the middle of the game. Andrew Luck walks off the field, gets booed by some of his hometown or home fans there in Indianapolis. Again, bombshell, shocking. I don't think anybody's seen this coming. He's been dealing with some injuries the last few years. He was dealing with a calf injury that then turned into a high ankle sprain, and it looked like he was going to be missing the first couple of games at least of this season. It was really an uneven, unsure timetable, and again, right in the middle of the preseason, a couple weeks before the start of the regular season, he decides to hang up the cleats, stating that he wouldn't really feel like it would be fair to his team, his teammates, that if he were to, let alone himself, by the way he felt not only physically but mentally, and his feelings about the game now, he didn't think it would be fair to the Indianapolis Colts, his teammates, and the organization. How do you feel about the way he went about it? How do you feel about the time he decided to drop this bombshell on the NFL just a couple of weeks before the regular season began?
I'm sure the team knew. I'm sure the team knew before the third preseason game.
Do you say the team is in his teammates, or the team is in the teammates?
I think he's one of those guys that probably had talked to them before he had planned to go the next day. So I think he had talked to them already. I think the problem is, what's funny about it though, and to me, and this is just a theory of mine, the person who leaked it was Jim Irsay. because he was always saying weird stuff. And to me, the reason that he would leak it, because if he doesn't leak it, then Luck gets to be the hero. He gets to be the guy that walked off and gave everything and laid down his shield and was like, man, I'm just like, I've had it. Like, I appreciate it. People would have applauded him because he would have just got there. It would have been a shot, but you wouldn't have been at the game. Think about that though. Now at the game, if you release it, now you got fans who are just at the game. They've already paid for a $20 hot dog, a $95 ticket for a preseason game, and now you got people who've been drinking. And it's like whoever leaked it knew that that would be the reaction of it. You know what I mean? Now, I guess you can't blame Adam Schefter and those type of guys, but I mean they just trying to get the news out. But whoever put it out, it's kind of like the Larry Tunsil thing. Like, hey man, like there's a draft and he's
Yeah,
smoking.
right.
Like somebody did that maliciously though, and to me it speaks Jim Irsay honestly. Oh, you gonna leave my team? Oh, you thought you was gonna be out cool tomorrow then? Oh, you was gonna have a press conference and be a hero? Nope. You gonna do it tonight after the third game, and the third game is when what? All the starters supposed to play, all this other stuff. You know what I mean? And probably most of the people come, watch the game. So, for him though, I mean, I think it's perfect, man. Honestly. Now, do I think he'll come back? I do actually, but I think he'll only come back because I don't think he can come after they boo you. Like in my heart of hearts, I can't come back and play for you. But if the quarterback plays good, then there's leverage to say, hey man, listen, if you come over here, hey, I will protect you. You know what I mean? Like is that I feel like it's gonna be that type of situation where you'll sit at the house and realize, like, you know what, man, I kind of do miss it a little bit because it'll seep in if you watch it. Nah, he seemed good with it. You know what I mean? Like I'm just done.
His dad is the commissioner of the XFL.
Huh?
His father, Oliver Luck, is the commissioner of the XFL. Maybe he'll be the first former NFL player to.
If he didn't get protected in the NFL, he probably won't be protected in the SFL. Now, he may do something like that, or I can't see him doing like the play-by-play by stuff. But I just feel like he was such a competitive cat. Like even when you hit him, he'd be like, "Man, good job." Like he was weird. You know what I mean? Like he was a weird cat in that regard. And when you have like that unfilled potential, like when you know, like man, I was good, but I could have done better. I think it'll burn at you a little bit. And if they do really good with Brissett, somebody approach him like, "Hey, I think we can get you traded, man." You know what I mean? So I think all the pieces have to fall, but I just feel like that'll happen. I don't know. I just feel like that'll be something. I would if I was the GM, I would explore it. Like, hey man, you don't want him no more, dude. Let me get him.
Yeah, no doubt. I would do the same. I do not think he's coming back though, just based off what how he spoke and I mean he basically said he doesn't really love the game anymore. At least he doesn't love it enough to play it. And then the way his body's feeling, I'm not sure. To me, it sounded like Andrew Luck's done. He's
Well, the
done.
thing is, he's talking because he is actually like hurt right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind not playing. I'm happy that with what I'm doing now. But whenever I watch the game, like it just seeps in you. Like I think I can still do. You know what I mean? Like it just like it itches at you sometimes. And if it itches you enough to where like, oh man, I play. So you know what? If I can go to a better situation or I'm out and now I'm healing up, you know what I mean? Like I get a year or so to like not do nothing. I'm not watching film. I'm just relaxing. But you know what? We'll see.
We will. We will see indeed. I'm sure I'm sure some interest peaked yesterday when he seen the details on the Jared Goff contract, the richest quarterback now in the NFL. We'll see who's the next domino to fall behind him. Let's go with our next topic, DJ. A couple trades went down this past weekend. Jadeveon Clowney gets traded to the Seattle Seahawks for a third-round pick and a couple of players. And then Laramie Tunsil gets traded to the Houston Texans. Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills for even more compensation than what the Bears had to give up for Khalil Mack last year. They gave up 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a couple of offensive linemen as well, a part of that trade for Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills. They're dealing with some injuries right now at wide receiver with Will Fuller. So you got Kenny Stills to kind of step up in that role. And Kenny Stills has been a legit wide receiver. He's been the Dolphins' #1 receiver, leading them in touchdown catches. Actually, I believe he's led them in all receiving categories over the past 3 seasons. And then you got Laramie Tunsil. I mean, one of the top left tackles in the NFL, right in the prime of his career. Now, the problem is they did not sign him to a contract extension, so next season he could be on a different team, and you give up 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, a couple of developmental pieces on the offensive line for Laramie Tunsil for a season. Now, you got to think that they'll get a deal worked out, but as it stands right now, a deal is not worked out. They do not have a general manager, and it seems as if Bill O'Brien was playing the Madden video game with all these deals that went down with the Houston Texans last weekend. So we'll start off with the Jadeveon Clown deal. They sent him to the Seattle Seahawks for a third-round pick, a couple defensive players, and they actually pay half of his salary for this season for him to go away and suit up for the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if Houston did very well at all this past weekend. I mean, you get a legit left tackle in Laramie Tunsil. That was not in this trade, though, so we'll talk about that in just a second. But in terms of this Jadeveon Clowney deal, I guess you want to get something for him, but I got to think you could have done more than a third and a couple of defensive players that have been on a few different teams, below average starters, no doubt about it. I'll actually pull up their names. Barkevious Mingo and Jacob Martin were the 2 players included in that deal. Of course, Barkevious Mingo, former first-round pick, kind of labeled as a bust as of now. Again, Jadeveon Clowney goes to Seattle for a third and those 2 players. Again, mind-boggling. I understand you want to get something for him because it did not seem like he was going to be re-signing there. Wasn't happy. And in the end, Houston still has J.J. Watt. They still have Whitney Merciless. But you lose a player like Jadeveon Clowney and get kind of what's the word, peanuts for the dollar in this trade. Your thoughts on the trade and how Clowney might fit in Seattle?
It is interesting these days too, and I think it kind of stemmed from the NBA. Like, people are like forcing their way out. Like, hey, you don't want to pay me, let's see it. And I think that's kind of the way it should be. If I overperform it, hey, give me an opportunity to get paid. Because the NFL is weird. I need to look this up, but the way they be tagging people, I feel like you can tag people for the rest of their life. It is weird, man, how that works. I don't think there should be a franchise tag. Oh, I'm a franchise player, you're going to tag me? Well, there should be, like, guaranteed money, not just for this year, but if you want to make something like that happen, or if somebody else want to pay me. But for Clown, I think it's good. You go into a team, they're gonna let him pin his ears back and just rush. I think he did the same thing. I still, even though he's done good, I feel like if you made somebody on the video game at defense end, it would be him. You know what I mean? And like, you want to see him be more of a Khalil Mack or Julius Peppers. But he gets the job done. He does. He makes sacks, but nothing like when they played against Michigan in college or the things like that he was doing. He ran. He looked at. I remember him at the combine looking at the screen like, oh, I can run faster than that, and like, he was not lying. You know what I mean? Like, when you that big, that physical, and you can run. The sky should be the limit. But right now, I think I don't know. I just feel like he can do a lot more. And I don't know why he's not always like just being that disruptive guy. And this could be the year. I think with Seattle and their fan base and how loud they are. And I mean, he'll get a couple sacks just because you just can't hear it, I think. So I think it's gonna be good for him. The Texans, Watt. I don't know what Watt has been for the last what is it, a couple of years. I don't know. He's been missing. Now I see him on commercials, but at getting sacks, I don't see
Now,
it.
last
You
year,
know
I
what I mean?
believe he had 16 sacks. Now, the year prior was when he had that back injury and kind of fell off the
Well,
face of
yeah,
the.
yeah. See, it's still weird though. It's to me, I wouldn't. I would pay you because like we seen the formula. Like if you wanna like win, you either gotta have a really good defensive line. You gotta disrupt. You mean disrupt the quarterback. Now the Tunsil like they needed somebody to protect the quarterback. He was like probably the most sacked. Now does he hold the ball a little bit? But you're gonna have a situation like with the Andrew Luck thing, where it's like man I'm getting beat up. Like, man, come on, I'm getting beat up. Now, in theory, Luck leads, and then Texans say, man, we got to make some moves. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we can win this thing. You know what I mean? So that may have, caused him to like, hey, be rash about, you know what? If he don't want to be here, let's get some players. Like, we can make this thing happen. Like, this could be the year. Like, he's gone. Like, it's wide on who. I mean, who's gonna win it? The Titans.
I think the Titans are they're not Miami Dolphins bad, but I think the Titans could see.
Jaguars. So it's up in the air.
Yeah.
So it's up
But
in the
no, I
air.
mean it's certainly with Andrew Luck retiring and now the Houston Texans getting some protection for Deshaun Watson. Things look to be going in the Texans' direction. We will see. Last and final topic for tonight, DJ. We got to touch on Antonio Brown. I mean, this guy has been in the news the last couple of months, whether it's dating back to when he first gets traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Oakland Raiders. You get his now foot injury from the cryotherapy, not having the right protection on his feet, getting some type of burns on his feet, looked absolutely terrible. Can't even imagine how it might feel. To the whole helmet situation, the NFL changed up some of the helmet policies and said that, hey, the helmet that you've been wearing since you've been in the league, actually I believe it's the same helmet dating back to his college days, you're not able to wear it anymore. So now he had to go find another helmet. There was a controversy. He said that he's not going to play in the league until he's able to wear his certain helmet. Well, that got finished, and actually I think he just struck a deal today with Zenith, a helmet company. And then today, earlier this morning, he tweets out or shares on Instagram a letter he got from Mike Mayock, general manager of the Oakland Raiders, informing him that the team was going to fine him $54,000 for missing 2 practices this summer, and he kind of voiced his displeasure about that before taking it down. Antonio Brown, like you said, there's no doubt he's arguably the hardest worker in the NFL. I mean, you see videos on this guy, and I'm sure there's a lot that we don't see what he does, but you don't turn into, or you don't go from being a 6th-round pick from Central Michigan University to the way that he's worked his way up the ladder. It's been magnificent. A future Hall of Famer. With that said, I'm not sure there's been anybody that has gone from one of the more liked guys in the NFL to one of the more disliked guys in the NFL. A lot of which, I mean, he's probably brought a lot of it on himself,
Well,
but
no, he don't deserve it really. Like the helmet thing, like I've had a helmet, like I played in the same helmet like forever. Like I can get, I mean, you saying you're not comfortable with now, everybody else gonna look at you and say, hey, you petty this, you petty that. It's like you playing in a certain pair of basketball shoes, or you like a certain outfit, or you like a certain hairstyle. Like you just like, you like what you like. I think he's getting a really bad rap coming from the Steelers because they saying it's his fault. It ain't Big Ben's fault, it's his fault. You know what I mean? But they're not only saying that he's a like, you know what I mean? It ain't that it's weird, like they're attacking like him as a person, like you a bad person. And to me, like, well, we know what Big Ben did. Like, that's a bad person. You know what I mean? Like, And they did the same thing with T.O. Now you had the whole like you would always I love me some me, but you actually like legal stuff like you didn't do anything. You know what I mean? We've seen, so, but I think in the NFL it's just more so like when once they pick a villain for the year and he was picked, the whole situation is your fault. It's your fault. The other receivers know it's your fault. Like, yeah, he receiver, he gonna want the ball. Like he's the star player. Like, why would he not want the ball? He always gets it. He's getting over 100 catches per year. Like he has the ball all the time. But at some point you'll say, "Oh, I don't like what you're doing." And now is we gonna paint a picture to where you the bad guy. Like he's gonna be the bad guy. Now I expect him to do fine and run routes and do good, but there's gonna be a situation with him and Carr. It ain't gonna be nothing, but the media gonna make something up. They gonna ask him, and they gonna ask him. It's gonna be a problem. The thing about Mike Mayock is, again, he's coming straight from doing the shows to talking about the players. He's trying to be somebody's father. You know what I mean? I know this young kid, and this is what he needs. No, man. Like, if even if you think somebody's spiraling out of control, like you probably shouldn't put your foot on their neck and be like, "Oh, watch, I find you." Like, yeah, they ain't gonna react the way you think they gonna react. You know what I mean? So in making it even public, like they don't just. I wouldn't even send a letter and find like it's just gonna be something else extra. Like now y'all can't talk to each other. Now y'all can't look at each other when y'all walk down the hallway. Cause you just paid them a lot of money. You gonna have to see them play. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting. Because you got John Gruden, he got 10 years contract or whatever, so he gonna be there for a while. They can after this year they can probably let him go, and as of right now, you know what I mean. I think Mike Maverick made one of those like either you here, or you not here with us, or like come on, man. Like hey, that's that college stuff. Like don't bring that in here. So it's gonna be. I know they had the hard knocks, but that's gonna be an interesting. That's gonna be an interesting ordeal, man, to watch that fold out throughout the season because I know Carr. I mean, his livelihood, you know, what I mean, depends on it, honestly. And I think he's better. I think he's much better than Jared Goff, but you don't have the coach, and well, got what you got.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that Jared Goff should be giving at least half of that money that you just signed for yesterday to Sean McVay. But anyways, looking at the Oakland Raiders, yeah, I mean they're on Hard Knocks. They got a ton of personality. I mean, we got Antonio Brown, you got Richie Incognito, you got Vontez Burfict on that team. I'm sure it goes on and on too, but it's going to be a lot of fun. If only Hard Knocks was following that team throughout the regular season, that would be a lot of fun to watch how everything goes down with that team. But again, DJ, tomorrow night you got the Bears, Packers, 100th season being kicked off at Soldier Field. I predict I would say a blowout 30-13. You're saying 24-21, a little bit closer, but we do agree in one thing that the Bears should walk away with a victory and start the season off 1-0. That's going to do it for tonight's show. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Chris Shanafel. You can follow him at DJMore30. Also check out his weekly posts on former teammates' website, prostylemedia.com. Story time with DJ Moore. Didn't get to it this week, DJ, but we got some catching up to do next week. Hopefully we're talking about a Bears victory as well.
Either way, it's fine with me. Yeah.
Any final words, DJ? What do you got to tell Bears fans, man? Get them fired up for tomorrow's game.
Fired up? I don't know, man.
Give us that that you're in the huddle, you do the backflip and all that.
Oh yeah, no, that ain't my thing. But Trubisky is my final word.
Step up or shut up, right?
Something.
It's time. It's time. No more excuses. Year 2 under Matt Nagy, and you got arguably the best defense in the NFL, and you are loaded at the receiver, running back position. So the weapons are there. The Bears should get the job done tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see. The NFL season kicks off tomorrow. best time of the year. For DJ Moore, I'm Chris Shanfeld. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to tune in next week, everybody. Chris and DJ Show.